Good morning, everyone. Here's your Eastern Idaho planning and weather briefing for January 27th. Here we are in the middle of the week, and our multiple day snow event has begun, and we're really still expecting the Wood River Valley all the way up along the Central Mountains on up into the Island Park area, adjacent areas of the Snake Plain as well. Snowfall farther to the south looks to be dropping off just a bit. We'll still have a few impact areas, it looks like, at this point. Still looking at pretty high confidence on where the heavier snow is going to fall through at least tomorrow afternoon. Things get a little dicey once we get into Thursday night into Friday. And our confidence has really increased on how much snow is going to fall in those areas through the same period. Elsewhere, the confidence in terms of how much is going to fall and where it's going to fall, it's still not quite up there just yet, but it's increasing just a tad. And after we get through with this event, still some mountain light snow lingering through the rest of your Friday into the weekend. Here's our low off the coast, a huge plume of moisture working in from the south, and you notice that flow is coming in from the south and southwest. That's why we're targeting places like the Wood River Valley, the Soldier Mountains, on up towards Arco, Mackey, Mud Lake, on up into the Island Park area. Also, that will be favoring the Big Hole Mountains there to the west of Driggs in the Teton Valley. And then places like the Caribou Range, the Bear River Range, they'll see their fair share of snow, but certainly not as much as we're expecting up north. And you can see where our impact areas are going to be, especially where we have our warning event taking place. The Eastern Highlands, the Lost River area, the Wood River area, the Sawtooth area, not necessarily the Stanley Basin portion of that, but the Sawtooth Mountains themselves will be seeing quite a bit of snow. And the wind is going to create some blowing and drifting snow conditions as well, especially in the higher elevations. Temperatures the next couple of days are actually going to be warming in the lower elevations, so we're going to see snow eventually trying to mix or change to rain where we can get it to fall in some of those lower elevations. That means a wet snow in some places as well. And there's that lingering snow as we go through the weekend. Taking a look how things will progress through the rest of the day. You notice the model's really not handling the light snow that's been out there overnight and through this morning. We have that lingering light snow across a good chunk of the Arco Desert heading up towards the Island Park area. Also some lingering light snow across the southeast highlands. That trend will continue, but this is where the main push of moisture is coming in, and that's kind of where we're going to follow this as we go through the next couple of days. So we go into this morning, into this afternoon. We'll continue to see that moisture overspreading the area. What's interesting is this. The models continue to say in that big area downslope corridor that we're looking at from Burley to Pocatello all the way up even to Idaho Falls, there's going to be precipitation falling. This is actually what if you were looking at radar, this is what this would look like. This is not necessarily indicative of how much moisture is actually going to hit the ground, because the downslope wind is going to warm it up, and it really dries things out. So we'll show you here in a little bit what we're talking about, but you'll notice all that precipitation falling up to the north as well. You can see where the shadowing is taking place on the other side of the Central Mountains once you get up into the Stanley Basin, Chalice, on up into Limhi County. You can also see most of the precipitation really not falling over the southern and eastern highlands by this afternoon. As we go into tonight, you'll notice most of the precipitation remains up to the north. We have another push of moisture coming into the southeastern highlands. That's going to enhance a little bit of the snowfall across the Bear River Range in the mountains down along the Utah border. As we go into Thursday, that surge continues. We still have the dry slot from Twin, Burley on up into the Pocatello area, maybe as far north as Blackfoot, and of course in the highlands just south of the Snake Plain. That goes into Thursday during the day, and that continues. But you notice going into the day Thursday, later in the day, most of the moisture continues to shift to the north, and that trend will continue into Thursday night, early Friday morning. This is where things get a little interesting, simply because of the fact some of the models are basically saying by the time we get to late Thursday night, Friday morning, the only precipitation falling is going to be around Sun Valley, the Arco area. Other areas are much drier, and we're going to wait for the front to come through later on Friday. We're sticking with the scenario for now that it remains pretty wet from Sun Valley all the way up into Island Park Thursday night into Friday ahead. of that cold front, and then we have a little better chance area-wide of seeing more precipitation across the board during that period later on Friday. So for this morning, not much is going on, and it's interestingly enough, you can kind of see it looks kind of like a widespread area of maybe some very light snow amounts farther to the south and to the east outside of the Central Mountains and up towards Island Park. It's really just a function of how the forecast is put together. There'll be very patchy light snow, and like I said, we may get nothing more than some snowflakes falling from Burley up through Blackfoot into the Idaho Falls area. And the scenario may be this: it snows, but it's not really going to stick anywhere except maybe in some of the grassy surfaces, and especially up on the benches, but it's not going to account for much. Here are those strong winds this morning. Some of these downslope winds, we're already seeing gusts here at the office, for example, gusting at 40 to 45 miles per hour. So the winds are a little underdone here with our downslope event, but that's indicative. The strong winds, the downslope, once you get along the interstate corridor. Now you get into the mountains, some of that blowing and drifting snow is going to be a problem, and that trend will continue into this afternoon. You can see where the snow is continuing to fall in the north, in the upslope areas. Not much going on elsewhere, and like I said, that downslope corridor, it may try to snow, and it's very possible that it's nothing more just than a few sprinkles and flurries. That's all we're going to see out of that. Downslope events like this can be very tricky in terms of precipitation, what we're getting to see, what we're expecting to fall, accumulate, measure. So that's why a lot of times we have pretty low confidence with these events in that particular corridor. And there are the winds increasing area-wide this afternoon. So, again, where we can get the snow to falling, there's going to be some blowing and potentially some drifting snow conditions as well. And that warmer air on that southerly flow moves in. Rexburg above freezing today. Idaho Falls above freezing. The Pocatello corridor down towards Burley put temperatures pushing to near 40 degrees for this afternoon. And in the mountains, even the valley is trying to push near freezing this afternoon as well. Going into this evening, the bulk of the snow still falling in the same areas, and the winds will continue. They'll let up just a little bit across the board. But you'll notice, look at these overnight lows across portions of the Snake Plain. We're talking above freezing in Pocatello, American Falls, Burley, over towards Twin, pushing to near freezing at Idaho Falls and up towards Rexburg as well. And snowfall amounts still not much going on. One thing we've not really mentioned, we talked about the big holes and on up towards Island Park getting snow, but that southerly flow, most of the Teton Valley, except down towards Victor, you're not going to see but maybe a couple of inches of snow out of this event. And the winds continue overnight. We see a resurgence of snow across the Wood River Valley on up into the surrounding mountains. Tomorrow morning, also into the Island Park area and the big holes. The winds continue, and it's going to be even warmer tomorrow. Look at this, 40 to 45 from Idaho Falls all the way down to Burley into the Treasure Valley, south towards the Utah border. Chalice, 38 degrees, Stanley, 34 degrees, Haley, 36 degrees tomorrow. So some of that snow in the lower elevations is going to be a wet, sloppy snow with this towards the tail end of this event, and those temperatures remaining above freezing in many areas. Even towards Driggs, it's going to be freezing. Swan Valley, 35 to 40 degrees as well with this event as we get towards the end of it. And then the snow continues, but you'll notice Thursday night into Friday, really trying to dry out farther to the south. And the winds do start letting up Thursday night into Friday as well. Maybe just a couple degrees cooler on Friday ahead of the cold front. And like I said, not a lot of precipitation again except from the Wood River Valley on up into the Island Park area as well. Going into Saturday, temperatures begin to cool off just a bit. Not much snowfall expected across the area. And temperatures still cooling off, but in some areas, the lower Snake Plain, and heading into the Magic Valley and the Treasure Valley, if we can get some moisture to fall, it's not very likely at this point. It'll be maybe a little bit of a rain-snow mix or some very light rain going through that period as well. And most of the snow, if it falls, will be around Stanley, the Sawtooth, also into the Eastern Highlands. So again, we've got a lot of snow coming and wind coming in certain areas. It's going to be some places getting a big dump of snow with this, other places because of the downslope conditions, the shadowing, not seeing much precipitation at all. It may not even fall as snow. It could be some light rain falling as well. So that will be our target the next couple of days. So definitely if you're going to be traveling, keep attuned to the weather conditions, the road conditions as well. Go to 511. Our partners there with ITD will certainly keep you updated on travel conditions across the area. Have a good day, everyone, and do stay safe out there.